Incremental routines. This is the 12th section of the Pleasurable Guide to SuperMemo, the Fluency cycle, and is dedicated to concepts. So we'll introduce, in this section, we'll introduce the Concept Registry, what is a concept group, the difference between concept element and registry member, like what we did with templates. Then some other stuff about concepts, that is the hook, branch, or the node, the root element or node, how to check the current element, which concept group it is. We'll introduce parts of the user interface that we didn't cover yet, like the window concept box. Here you go, what you see here. What is the active concept in the collection, when it's used. Then we'll introduce branches in SuperMemo. Even though this is part of the knowledge tree, we do it now because it's required to know for concepts, or at least the basic of concepts. Like the children limit in branches, it's important for concepts. Then concept preset templates. We covered templates just before, so we can now auto-apply templates through concepts. What happens with the checkboxes is a highly recurrent thing for novice. Again, the nomenclature review, this time related to concepts because there's quite a lot of jargon. Continue with the default priority of concepts. We have covered priorities already. Then how can create concepts in SuperMemo. Use cases when creating concepts. A checklist, more or less, of what you need to check to create the concept. So when it's required to create a concept. And the same for deleting. This is an example. It's very divided, very split. It looks like a lot when it's not, because it's very to the point. These are the use cases, but explicit. Before we just said, use cases. This is an example of how it will be on the mastery. That instead of the use cases, we will go one by one and not just mention it, but doing it, a real scenario, for real. So that's a snapshot of what you will see in the mastery track. Then, after knowing how to create and delete concepts and when should be useful to create them, we will see a convention of the to-do concepts, how you can merge concept groups, eventually you will need that, setting concept in bulk. Hey, I have many elements and I created the concept now, not before, so how I do set this in bulk now, and some example that is recurrent enough that is worth to put at the end of the section in the fluency cycle. This is most of the value already. We are missing more than half of what you can do with concepts, but is, can you guess, diminishing returns. You will be able to know why they are concepts, how they work, how you create them, how you delete them by the end of this section. Let's start. So let's present the concept registry. We have seen already the registries, but now let's go more in depth. Turns out that the concept registry is the very first one in the list. Nice. Then, if you remember, this registry is essential, because when you start a new collection, we'll call it new. By default, you have the root, which is a concept, and therefore, here you go, you have the registry as well. It is essential. Then, you'll have all of those options that we will see, most of that in the Fluency track. And as always, you have the menus, some of the stuff, it's grayed out because cannot be used, but you can also do search, find and replace, stuff like that. If I go back to my collection, now you see, perhaps it's obvious, but the registries are never shared. Each collection has its own registry. Here I have more concepts. What is useful to know is that the order is alphabetical. You will notice that I have my conventions with numbers or equals because of that. So I do underscore because I want my root element to be the last one. Or I want the numbers not to be at the first, but is when I try, since I don't have numbers in any other concept, I will have them directly. Or if I want language, with this I go directly to language when I filter them. Pure convenience. Remember, it will be always sorted by alphabetical order. And as always, you can see the list, but here it's limited. In SuperMemo, you cannot see which elements are in a concept group. It's by design. We'll cover this later in the section. It's a good registry, so it's a registry it's highly you will use. That's why it's at the very top. I will say that if you use just a few registries, it will be concepts. It will be one of those. Super convenient. And if you use SuperMemo 16 or older, are called categories. Let's continue introducing some jargon relating to concepts. There's quite a few. Now it's time for the concept group. So what is a concept group? That is taken from the official documentation. A concept group is a branch of elements rooted in a concept. I must say, here I have a slight discrepancy with the official documentation because it's assuming a lot of user behavior this to be true. And most of the time, based on my own experience with tutorees and people in the community, it's very unlikely this will be true for you. What do you mean by that? That means there's a concept, right? SuperMemo course. Then the concept group will be all of the hierarchy down. So everything here, all of the topics, children of the topics, and so on, this is inside the SuperMemo course concept that we will see we'll have used the hook and so on. We still don't know what is the hook. Okay. But long story short, it's assuming that every single element here, there's a concept set which will be this one, SuperMemo course, right? But that's not a guarantee. Why? Because in this hierarchy, first, I can have another concept. I can nest concepts. This won't be true anymore. Second, I can just drag and drop manually the knowledge tree. So it's very likely, like this one says no group. Strictly speaking, is this part of the group? Well, it's in the hierarchy, but it's not set in the group. So strictly speaking, it's not. So we go back to the definition. Says a branch of elements rooted in a concept. A concept what? A concept element. Then, according to this definition, yes, it is. The concept is not set, but it falls inside the hierarchy. But this will be problematic because, hey, I want all of the elements in my collection which have the concept SuperMemo course. You cannot do that in SuperMemo, at least up to 19. I cannot go to the registry, concepts, SuperMemo course. Here is just called course. It's SuperMemo course list. It only lists itself. This is because of performance, they say. It's, hey, let me get all of the elements of that concept. Therefore, you're limited to go to the registry, to the knowledge tree, and assuming that everything inside it will be from the same concept. It's a major assumption. Will this be, I hope in the future this is done, the performance, it's with model computers is enough. Just to let you know that the concept group is not registered with the concept, which kind of defeats the purpose at some degree. But we will see how concepts are still very useful, even if we don't have this. So now that we know what is a concept in SuperMemo, we need to differentiate between what is an element concept, a concept as an element, and concept as a concept registry member. Yes, it's jargon, but it makes a lot of difference. So here, Pleasurable learning it's a concept. Okay. Then this is not very useful because it's the root. Let's use this one, for instance, cognition. Let's use this one. It's a very good example. Business, economy, and management, because I eventually merged these together. Okay. This is the what? This is the name, the title of the concept element. Then if I go to my registry, it's a different name. The name is called Quant-Business and Management, because this is the Concept Registry member. That's the difference with the older SuperMemos, 16 or older, which had categories. So here now the concept, which is an evolution of the categories, is also an element type. But those are independent. That's why, among other things, you can have different names. Not only that, as you will see, we can change the root, the hook, and so on, but one step at a time. That means that if I rename this, I'm renaming what? The name of the concept registry member, not the concept element. That means that now if I want to add econ, I still have the one dash, which is not available in the element. By the way, this is useful. In the mastery track, you will see some use cases that you want a different name in the registry as a registry member. The pros there are for that. But for now, it's enough. Remember, I will be particularly picky when I say concepts. That means elements. And when I say concept registry members in any other of the videos in the course. Let's introduce yet more jargon about concepts. And it's the concept node, the hook node, or the hook branch. If we go to the registry, it says hook branch. This is a very good example. It's my main concept, Pleasurable learning, the root. But how come the hook branch is not itself? It's because by default will be itself as a what? As a concept element in the knowledge tree, not as a concept registry member. Remember this. I can do a child. In this case, it is here, 2025. And next year, I will do 2026, because this is what I use for defaulting the imports. When I don't know which concept to select, it's like my to-do, but I have so many that I prefer to list split by year. Some heuristic. Awesome. But before how we change it and so on, let's see the definition. The official definition. This is copy-pasted. Let's try. A hook node, or branch, is a place that determines where the new elements are added in the contents window. Should we say knowledge tree? With add new, like this. Right click, new, whatever I add, whatever I select. Okay. A hook is a knowledge tree node to which new elements are added as children. What is a node? Is what happens in the official documentation is that it's very circular. So for defining something, it's using some other words and features, and they're referencing each other. So when you read one, it's impossible to understand it. Awesome. Not awesome, but I mean, that's why I do this guide, incremental guide. Okay. Too much jargon. I do an emphasis here because we will revisit this description later on in this section. Now in plain English, we will see this other one. The hook node is the element to which new elements are related to the concept and are added as children when you choose add new. So far, the same. The example is different, but it's the same. Then this element is chosen automatically by SuperMemo, and you don't have to change it. So the hook is either equal to the root at the beginning of the concept's life, like most of the time, and by default, or at the sending of the root when there's already too many children. We will see what does that mean. And it's an example of pleasurable learning. that the hook is actually 2025, here you go, which is just a folder. Okay. That means that from now on, you don't need a full understanding of all of the jargon, because this jargon will be involved in flows we're not going to see in the Fluency. Why? Because we're going to do always like this. I create a concept cognition. The root and the hook will be the same. First, by default, it's already like this, and we're not going to change it. Easy peasy. So now we know what it is. Hey, I want cognition. I have too many. Let me specify a child, a descendant, stuff like that. It just means this. Do you see everything itself most of the time? The only exception actually is the root. Let's continue with yet again more stuff about concepts. And now is the root node or root element. So remember, when we have a concept, we have the hook branch or hook node. Now is the first option, the root element, which should always be itself as an element concept. You can change it. It's super obscure. We're only going to see this in the mastery track, and still it's very unlikely you'll have this flow. But let's define what it is. This is the definition, two definitions, because there are more in the official documentation. A root node or element is a branch in the contents window, okay, that keeps all elements of a given concept group. So, then for example, chemistry will be a root node of all elements related to chemistry. But again, this is assuming a lot of behavior from the user, once again. So if I follow the same example as before, I have business, economy, and management. Everything inside this, which is quite a lot, do you see? Until here. All of those elements, I will highlight them for the convenience. All of those elements and their descendants that are collapsed are part of the concept group. And this, which is acting like a folder, is a concept element type, it becomes a what? A concept root. So all of the elements which concept is business, economy, and management will be inside this concept element. Is in the idyllic case? Yes. In the practical sense, not likely the case. There will be some cases, because look at this. I have here slides, right? Okay. So I cheated off a screen because it's something we still haven't seen. But look what happened now. In the slides, which are folders, look at the concept. It's business, economy, and management. So this no longer satisfies the definition, because we have what we have seen before is that not everything inside has to have the same concept necessarily. Could be empty, no group, or some other group. And second, some members of this concept can be somewhere else in the knowledge tree. I have a very simple analogy. I don't know if it's politically correct, but it's very easy. And that is Chinese people, Chinese citizens. Oh yeah, Chinese citizens live in China, right? And I think they are like 1/6 of the entire population. It's massive. Okay, 1.6 or 7 billion people. Okay. Then, not every citizen in China is Chinese. There are immigrants, right? Yeah, it will be a tiny fraction. Like here, I can have elements that are not on this concept group. Could be Zettelkasten or incremental reading, and are inside here. And some Chinese people have emigrated to different countries in Europe and somewhere else. So they are in other places in the knowledge tree, like they are in other places of the world. So if you say, hey, is my SuperMemo collection, I want all of the Chinese items. I want all of my Chinese elements, like Chinese citizens. Hey, let me go to China, and yep, that's all I got. It's a major simplistic approach, assuming a lot of information. Why this is not the case? Because this is assuming no one has moved the knowledge tree, emigrated to a different country, or the opposite, somewhere else from the outside emigrated inside here. That's why those definitions, if we go back to the definition, this is very idealistic. Even if you're knowledgeable how concepts work, it won't be the case either. Why? Because something we will see depends how you set the concept. Sometimes you set the concept and moves to the concept group, but some others, they don't. Stays there in the knowledge tree. Therefore, you break this definition. And we will see in the next chapter, when you import from the web, you already decide the concept. So I hope it's clear. Remember this difference. The SuperMemo official definition with a massive assumption and the real deal that will happen in your collection. It's not protected at all because, again, it's not implemented because it will be, or back in the day, would be too much computer, too much resource heavy. That's why it's a habit to look at the concept in the element you have presented. Still, if it's not clear, feel free to rewatch the video, or no worries, it will be clear in the upcoming videos. So now let's assume that you do your daily repetitions, this pops up, and you say which concept this is using. Because again, if you take a look at knowledge tree, it's making the assumption that it will be in the concept group, as we have seen. But it's just this, an assumption, right? It's no. I want to really see which element there is, right? Which concept there is set. Okay. So just click on Learn. This pops. Okay. It's way. It's where. In cognition. I can also see that in the ancestors window. Quite a few levels of hierarchy, but it's inside cognition. Awesome. Then, if we take a look at this window, remember the element data window, I have this in my layout, I can see it. And it says no group. So the assumption is already wrong. And that was generally the first repetition in my outstanding queue. I didn't plan this at all. So look at that. I can also know that on the element parameter window. In the group says none. It's not, I don't know why it's not consistent. So here it says none, and in the other window it says no group. Okay, but it's the same. Remember that. Unless you have a concept which name is none, it won't be ever none in the element data window. Because if you don't have this window, how do you know? Ctrl+Shift+P. Easy. And if you really want to get there, mouseless, Alt+G, and you activate the list. The drop-up menu, which is a list of all of the what? Concept Registry members, which they will have their dedicated concept element type in the knowledge tree, but not necessarily they are being used because we can change, remember, the hook and the root, even though for the Fluency we're not going to do that. So there are the only two places you can see the concepts. That's why I suggest to have the element parameter, the element data window, so you see it, so you only take a peek and that's it, instead of okay, none, stuff like that. And I will insist, don't take for granted just because it's in cognition, in this case inside the concept, it will have the concept set. Let's continue with concepts. In this case, we are going to introduce a part. We're going to introduce one section of the element window. Do you remember in the first section of the course, we spent our time? Well, we haven't tackled everything, you know. There are some buttons here that we didn't consider yet. Okay. But here, before going to buttons, what is this? Remember, this is the information panel, the name of the collection. And at the end of the navigation bar, we have this, the concept box, official name, concept box. Do you see I have the root? Okay. Then I can click on it. And then I have to specify a concept, what? A concept registry member, like business. Here you go. And what's already happening here? Oh my God, I'm about to mess up my collection. Go to the root element of the concept, transfer the current element to the concept, view the last child of the root, review elements in the concept. Oh wow, I'm pretty confused. No worries, let's cancel. Then you can access by clicking or by pressing C or by pressing C. It does the same. It does the same. So we're not going to explain now what it does, the features, only the box. If you use SuperMemo 18 or older, there's no key binding. So you really need to click. So remember this detail, that if C doesn't work for you, it's because the version of SuperMemo you're using. Remember that the full name would be the concept box of the navigation area of the element window. Now we are going to understand to see what in SuperMemo means the active concept. So we know that in the registry, we at least need one concept. It's an essential registry, and we need at the very least the root element. But which one of those is the active? It doesn't tell me here which one is the active at all. But I can see this somewhere else, specifically in the element window, specifically in the concept box, in the navigation area. So the root is the active concept. That means that if now I click on new, a new topic, it, where, when, where. Look at the ancestors. Below the pleasurable learning. Even though the concept has not been set. So literally speaking, by definition, is not part of the concept group anymore. Okay. Then if I change it, remember I can press C. And now I will do the course. There are several options here. Keep in mind, go to the element or view the last. It's just changing the view. So it loads a different element in the window. That's it. The other options, you're doing something else that we will see later on. Okay. Where am I? Foundations of incremental reading. Hey, I am in the last child of the concept. Remember, SM course is the hook and the root, and everything will be the concept group. And the last is just by position in the knowledge tree. So that means the active concept. So now, even if I click the same place, Pleasurable learning, right click, new, a new topic. Hey, that is unexpected. Oh, what happened? Look at the concept. We didn't modify it at all. That is because I did on purpose, because a lot of people confuse that. This is if you hover, says default concept group for adding new elements. And I can do a search, a filter, but if I click, I will have those options. None of those options will set the course to the active concept, which is what you may think you're doing. And if you use older versions of SuperMemo, this is even different. It doesn't tell you anything. And whoop, what's happening here? But if you pay attention, there's a weird vertical menu at the right side, which at some degree overlaps with those features. But it's SuperMemo, it couldn't be like that, and there's something extra. Okay. So actually, it's this button. It's the only way you can change it. It opens the Concept Registry, and now course. Here you go. And did you notice something? By default, when you change the, no pun intended, default concept in your collection or active concept, I want to call it active concept rather than default to differentiate. You also visit the last element, the latest in the what? In the concept group. It's a built-in behavior. So when you have this, and let's say that I change the concept, which by the way, it's none, so imagine that. I do, let's say, AI. Now I go to the last one as well. Okay. Hope this is clear. So remember, the light bulb, the second one, because there are two, choose default concept group for adding new elements. And here it says default concept group for adding new elements. And you have this that looks like you can change it, but then you need to click this button if you really want to. Set the concept as default. Business. Here you go. And as you go to the last element on that concept group. That is by no means intuitive. How do I know this? That I need to start typing. And then a weird vertical menu. I think it's the only vertical menu in SuperMemo. I need to click this option. And happens to be that this option is the only one that is not available when I click and I have this list. The list, there's no option to set the default. Beyond me. Very, very bad in my case. It's a very weird choice. It is what it is. So now you know how to set the element concept. And to prove my point, if I click Pleasurable Learning, right click, New, and Topic, hey, I still go to the same place inside Pleasurable Learning, even though the concept is business. That's because, look at this, the group. This option is totally ignoring the default concept. But if what I do is new node, let's say, then it's using the concept. So what we will see in this course is also all of those little details that you may expect SuperMemo to be consistent and use the hook, what we'll see the hooks. Nope. Remember that usually the hook, to simplify for us, it's itself. It's the root. It's the same, the element. It's why in this case, new node is actually using the concept. And when I do something else, like new article, oh, now it does. But if I do it, new article, but from the concept group, topic, not article, it doesn't follow the concept group. So this worry is for later. We will see this, its function, what follows, what doesn't, in a very condensed way, not just me speaking. Let's introduce some more jargon relating to the knowledge tree, even though it's useful for concepts. And those are branches. So what is a branch? Course introduction, this, we have seen this already. Because it's a topic, it's dismissed, and there's hierarchy. There's children. Is the definition of folders. Then the branch would be itself, the folder, and the contents. Even though it may have another folder, and this may have even more folders and so on, the nesting, all of those are branches. That is taken from the official documentation. In the contents window, more specifically the knowledge tree, an element, so the root at some degree, and all of its descendants, so all of the children's, children of the children's, and so on, are the branch, from the branch. It's the same as the tree. You have a branch, this branch can even branch out multiple times. And then all of those elements can be processed in subset operations, all of this. Then a branch that is built automatically by adding elements in the concept is called concept group. Hey, we have seen that. But remember, even though you build this automatically using concepts, as you have seen sometimes, the concept is not set because SuperMemo has so many holes and some weird behavior, you will end up having exceptions to the definition, to the rule. Then that's why, then qualitatively, we have those names. A, this is a folder because there's nothing, it's dismissed, it's a topic, and there are children. Then A, is not this a branch as well? Right? Well, yeah. The difference is that it's element and everything, all of the descendants. That means there could be a task and the descendants, a concept and the descendants, a folder and the descendants, and so on. So it's agnostic to the type. It's whatever it is. It's hierarchy down, whatever. So this is also the branch. It's a branch, and at the same time, it's the concept group of SuperMemo course. They coexist. The qualitative definition coexist. Like, I don't know, for clothing in weapon, you could say, hey, that is a bodycon dress and an evening dress. They are both true because the definitions are qualitatively from different points of view. Okay. So now we can rephrase the concept group as one kind of branch that has been built automatically through concepts in this specific way. And if there's the content, in the sense that it only contains other folders, so there's nothing on the first level of hierarchy, like this white SuperMemo, then it's still called a folder. It's purely a container. So remember, folders, branches, concept groups. I know there's quite a lot of jargon, and I'm filtering the jargon by the way, there's still more, but this is the Fluency track. And it's quite important for the important videos, the features using concepts, because then knowing the nomenclature, it will be key. But no worries, it's easier than it sounds. So now let's cover something related to concepts at some degree, but affects more the knowledge tree. And remember that this is called a folder, but anything, when you uncollapse it, expand it, you have elements. Those elements are children. Then in SuperMemo, there's a limit for this, because in this case there are just 3. But if I go to flat, and I do a no here, boom, now I need to scroll, right? There are quite a few. So because of performance issues, the siblings, because all of the children now are in the same level, even though there are some hierarchy down still, I have in the same level of hierarchy, the siblings, I don't know how many there are here. 115, okay, it's doable. But if I have a lot, then SuperMemo, or at least the older versions of SuperMemo, were lagging off. So because of performance issue, this is limited. So if you go to the toolkit options, and then SuperMemo, at the top there's this setting, children limit per branch. What does it mean? By the way, goes to 5, which is pointless, please don't use that, to 500. I think the default is 100 or 200. What it means, let's say I have 500, which is the maximum, is that now if I create, let's say, an extract, or I do some action that it will create a new child, SuperMemo will tell you, hey, there are too many children. Then depends how depends how you actually achieve this, which feature you use. It will just trigger the alert, but it will continue to create more children. And depends on what you do, it will do something else to avoid having more than 500. I know it's high level without specifying what, is because I want to keep this for the fluency track of the course, and I will have to introduce a lot of stuff that we're not going to see in this path. But that, just to make a point, something that is very easy. You see I'm creating the siblings. All of them are in the same level of hierarchy. I actually never try to split by just a white space, but it's a lot slower than just using a tag. Do you see what happens when you use a split an article? By the way, we will see this later on in the course. When you have 400, then you see these popping up. There's some dialogue for a split second. This only starts at 400. I don't know why. And then it becomes slower and slower, just because there are more children. Nothing else. Now we're reaching close to the maximum, 500. You see, it's not asking me, hey, there are too many children here. But now, since I have more, I can stop, I can cancel. Yes, I want to interrupt. Okay. I have more children. So what do you think is going to happen if now I do right-click New and add child? Too many children. Because the limit is 500. So now you know. There's just to make my point, that depends on the feature you use, it will prevent you to do it, and some will say nothing, and some will just warn, hey, there are too many children, but you can still do it if you want. There are some repercussions, but usually it will be performance. And obviously you have more scrolling. Nothing than that. And then we will see that there are some features to overcome this limitation of too many children. Do you see? It just finally created the new sibling regardless. Now that we're rather familiar with concepts and we already know the basics of templates, now it's time to tackle something we didn't cover before, and are those options: item template, topic template, and task template. So basically, I can have any concept. For instance, I want humanities to have a different template. So this will only be task, is the only one I have. But instead of the article, what I want with humanities is to always have the article picture. That means that whenever I use the concept hook, and those options are checked, by the way, template will be applied automatically. So I don't have to do it myself. And this can be hand-picked, cherry-picked. So it's, no, I want item picture. Here you go. Both with pictures. Alright, let's say that with aging, I actually don't need the pictures. And at task, I can just leave it there if it's dummy. Or if it's empty, I can even keep it empty, because I'm not going to use tasks. Okay, so easy as that. In order to change it, you see it here, what it is. Then appears a template registry, and you choose the one you want. Easy. Then that means now I have business and economy. Is, hey, why now this new element is for this concept, but why it's an article? Oh, it's because it's a topic. And then if I go to the business and management, that topic template is article. If I change this to article picture, and I create a new element, do you see? Article picture. No worries how I created this element. We will see this in the coming section of the course. The point is just to auto-apply the templates. And you may ask, hey, there's something missing. What about the concepts? Because yes, strictly speaking, a concept registry member is not the same as a concept element. And a concept element can have a different concept registry member set. What do I mean by that? Look at the SuperMemo course. It's no group. So what I can do is that the SuperMemo group can have itself, if I want to, or something else. Do you see? Hey, it cannot be onto itself. Okay, gotcha. But I can do something else. And now, do you see? The group is root. That's because if we really stretch it, a concept element can have a concept registry member set. We're not going to cover if this is useful, the use cases, or whatever. We are in the Fluency track. The fact is that if you do it, like I just did now, I applied my concept root. What happened? Now it's an article. This was applied done. There was nothing here. It was like this. But why this happened? Hey, because the concept, my root concept, has the article topic template. That's why it was auto-applied. So I hope this makes sense. And whatever I'm keeping to myself is for a reason. You don't need to know it unless you go for mastery. Which, just to tell you, for the mastery track, there are more than 100 videos just for concepts. So we have seen the concepts and how to decide their default template. Now it's the time to auto-apply this. You may have seen there are 3 checkboxes. There's something counterintuitive in SuperMemo. You may think this is binary. Checked or not checked. Nope, it's SuperMemo. There's one step in between. Look at this. Do you see? Now it's selected, it's orange. Well, orange because I use this theme. Doesn't have to be orange depending on the theme you're using, but doesn't have the check mark. So it's in an intermediate state. Oh my God. That means that if you want to apply similar templates, you need to click actually twice. Then when you create a concept, let's actually do it. New group. They are deselected, so you have to do it every time. This is what I suggest. Most users, the best scenario case is to always auto-apply. Not in mine, but because how I use SuperMemo, I have a very strong convention, so I don't need this other one to apply similar templates, because my topic and item templates already have image components. So I don't need this extra thing. What does it mean if it's like this? Check once. This is the same feature, but SuperMemo will prompt you every single time. So instead of applying the article picture, is, hey, do you want to apply the article picture? Confirm or decline. So I'm going to do this now, so you can see the effect. Now, article picture. It didn't ask me. Now we change it to article video. Okay. It's article video, but it's not asking me for that. Because again, depends how you create, and each scenario, SuperMemo is not that consistent. But now if I go back to the one I created that had the picture, now what I'm going to do is changing the group. You see it says no group. So I change it to something else, like course, once again. Now I change it back to the new core, a new group. Do you see? As soon as I selected the new group, the template has shifted already. Let me cancel. The template is article picture, and the concept is course. So even if I don't confirm, I just select it from the list, new group, already changes the preselection here. And now it's asking me, when I click OK, is hey, do you want to apply this video article video? Why? Because this change was not done by me. Even though it appears on the screen, is as if I did myself, was not. So that's the difference. Then I can say no or yes. That's all for now. Now let's focus on something very easy, but could be problematic for a newbie. That hey, I have here the Concept Registry, and I want to auto-apply the templates, but hey, where are the checkboxes? Look, I have Korean, humanities, but hey, I don't have the checkboxes. Well, it's because depending on your screen size, this window will be resized, and if you hover here you go. You can resize this section, and voila. And now you see it. And then you scroll, oh yeah, I wanted this concept, and now I check the third box. And remember, perhaps you want to check twice. One check will prompt, two checks won't prompt you, and we'll do it directly. Now you know, because the next time we go to the registry, it memorizes the position. So if it's like this, that is not seen, next time we go, it will be the same. It is a very absurd reason, but some people get stuck here, including me at the very beginning. So that's how you fix it. Let's just do one recap. I have food. Okay, so all of those elements are what? And the children are part of the concept group, which the hook is this element, food. And the hook is itself. And I can know that because if I go to the registry, the root is itself, but itself as not as a concept registry member, as a concept element. The hook branch again as a concept element. So the next element I choose the concept to set the concept as food, it will go here. Now I will do something dummy. Oh look, I mean it's in a stretch, but the mushroom is food, right? Okay. So you go to the element parameters, and you see here it says group. Okay. We will see this later in detail. Then you say, let me choose the food, and now do you see, hey, it's no longer there under 2025. Where it is now? It's in food, because now it's part of the concept group. That's why in the prior video, the concept group video, I said, yes, it's assuming this flow, but the user can do and move this here. And now the concept group doesn't satisfy the definition, because none of the descendants have the same concept set. And SuperMemo won't compute that for performance reasons, so remember this. So far we know what is a concept as a member and as an element, the root and the hook, and the fact that for the Fluency you only need to understand what are those. We will see how they affect when setting concepts, creating new concepts, and so on, but never change it. It's not worth it. Now we can toggle default priorities for concepts. Before, we toggled priorities, but not concepts. That's why we were not ready for that. But now we do. So what does this mean, default priority? 0% means the maximum. By the way, here you can only do percentage, not positions. Then default priority, you click and you put 5. I think the default is 5. In the official documentation says the following. The default priority for elements added to the concept group related to the concept. But what does that mean? That's not enough. Okay, You remember what we did in the previous video? So I will do something. I have this dummy we had before. Okay, it says new group, a new group. Now I will call this example 1 and example 2. Okay, let's start with first. Then I'm going to change it to my root concept, and my root concept has a 5% default priority. Then this already exists, this element already exists and already has a priority. It's the maximum. It's the very first element in my priority queue. Now if I change the concept for my root, the hook is used, even I think the article was applied, but then it's A. The priority is the same because it already existed. Then if I import from web browser, the web imports that we're going to see later will happen the same thing. What happens is that this default priority, it's only used when you only create brand new elements without incremental reading. Means right click, new, and something else. A new topic, boom. Do you see what happened here? It's 0 is the first element and it says no group. It's using nothing at all. But if instead of topic I say add child, still nothing. No group, no template. But if what I do instead is new node or Alt N, hey, this is using the group. Which group? Concept group, the one that is active in my collection. Therefore, Autoapply is the template because the concept is set to do so. Remember the checkboxes to autoapply. And it has a priority, but again, it's the same. Why it's 0%? Let's check the default priority of this concept, the new group. Oh, it happens to be 0. Now if I put it at 10, and I do the same once again, hey, now it's 10%. It's one of the things in SuperMemo that is not intuitive at all. You may think that, oh, whenever I change to a concept, this will be set. It's when I create a brand new element that didn't exist and now exists with this concept because it's it copies from the collection active concept, then this will be used. Why? Because there's no information to infer. What do I mean by that? Because as we are going to see in incremental reading, when you create elements, it's by some context in incremental reading. You import from the web, which you make a range, minimum and maximum priority, or when you have concept, or when you have a topic, and now you do an extract or whatever, this has some reference, it's 10%. So this one is 7, it's a slightly higher priority, but has taken into account the reference. What happens that if I do right away new something, no context, then SuperMemo needs a reference. That what priority do I need to assign this? That's why SuperMemo will be using the concept default priority. That means that if you use web import, extract, and close deletion or split, you don't use those functionalities, you are actually never going to use the default priority at all, the concept default priority, which is my case most of the time. Those are outliers. And remember, a new article or new node is not the same thing. You say, hey, yeah, it's just using the clipboard content, right? And the other it's blank. But this is different from right-clicking the knowledge tree, a new, and doing this. Remember, if you do this, the default concept priority is not going to be used because the concept is not applied. So it's a chain of events. The concept is not set, therefore the auto-apply template and default priority cannot be used. That's why different concepts can have different default priorities. And remember, you have to use a number. You can use a decimal. You can use up to 4 decimals, but you cannot use position, because the positions will change in your collection. If I put 10,000, and my collection is smaller than 10,000, won't make sense. So finally, we'll be creating a concept element. There are many different ways. So we'll have a video dedicated on each way you can, well, most of the ways you can create concepts in SuperMemo. Not all of them. There will be a few reserved for the mastery track. Okay, so the first one is going to the registry, Concept Registry, and you just create it here. You click on Add, and that's a new group. You put the title, the name of the Concept Registry member. In this case, let's say it's memory. And you see, in the knowledge tree, I have a new concept element. It's always, when using this, when using the registry, it will always be a child of the root, and it will be at the bottom of the hierarchy. Second, it's created dismissed, and remember that most likely you want to auto-apply, so click twice the checkboxes. So far we know creates a new element, sets the root and the hook to itself, and is created in the last child of the root. And if we are strict, if we go to the history, it's actually dismissed. So SuperMemo is creating the concept memorized, because by default it's memorized, but by default, automatically, let's say in a few milliseconds, it dismisses the concept. So strictly speaking, it's not born dismissed. It's just a few milliseconds after it. I know it's a technicality, but I do put emphasis on that because there will be some of the ways we create concepts that this will make a difference, by the way. That it will become relevant later. So that's how you create a concept from the concept registry in SuperMemo. Let's continue creating concepts in SuperMemo. We did it from the registry. So another thing we can do, if we have a folder, which I will just do now, and I will call it memory. Now I can do Ctrl+K or right click, concept, create. Keep in mind, I am on the knowledge tree. So this menu only appears in the contents window. Then let's say put memory as well. And voila. Here you go. And a quick reminder. You can repeat names. Yes. You can repeat names as concept element types, but not as a concept registry members. That's why SuperMemo adds, appends a letter. It's a random letter, or even a number. In this case, it has been the Z. Could have been any other one. It's because it has to be unique. Here in this list, as concept registry members, has to be unique. Awesome. And so far, happened the same thing. It created the root element, the hook branch. I need to always click to auto-apply. And let's see what happened. It's also dismissed. But hey, there's a very slight difference here. I have an automatic and then a dismissed. As opposed with the creation from the registry, which only have dismissed. There's no auto repetition here. That are one of the hints that later you can do. You can take a look, like some kind of forensic detective. And hey, I can tell how I created that concept by following those hints. How cool is that? So that's how you create a concept with Ctrl+K from the knowledge tree. Let's continue creating concepts. In SuperMemo, we have seen two ways already. Now, For the sake of consistency, I will just put numbers. I prefer this over different names, different concepts. Okay. So now I'm going to the registry. So I also need to rename for consistency so it matches. Because I want to keep them all, and we are going to compare them. Awesome. So now we're going to create a third. So if I right click, where am I now? I'm in the concept, the memory 2. Okay. It's empty. If I right click in the element window, I have concepts, but wait, I have create concept. But this will make, the hint says, convert current concept element into a concept. Oh, this is already it's a concept already. So let me do once again a folder. I will call it memory 3. It's a pity it's always in the middle. I want the hierarchy. Okay. Now it's a dismissed topic. Okay, so then right click, concepts, create concept. And yeah, the same name. Do you see it requires a unique name as a registry member? Do you see? Not as a element type. Awesome. But what happened? This was already dismissed because it's a folder. Here I have introduced a bias on purpose, by the way. So now if I do the same, let me actually delete it. Gone. From now on, I will do topics. Why? Because they are memorized. And I will call it memory 3. You already know how the naming works, so now the name is the same as the first component. And then right click, concepts, create concept, memory 3, and voila! It preserves the state. Since the topic was memorized, it only converts the element, not the state. That means it is still memorized. A topic that becomes a concept, but it still is memorized. But if it's dismissed, then it is dismissed. It doesn't change. Exactly. There is no dismissing here, or reset of any kind. But it is a concept. And if we go to the registry, memory 3, the root and the hook are themselves, and I need to click. That will always be the case. Awesome. So remember, if you click here, this is the element menu. Therefore, this is triggered to the current element that is displayed. Another way you can create a concept. Let's continue creating concepts in SuperMemo in different ways. We have seen 3 so far. Let's go to the number 4. So I will be creating another topic. I will call it memory 4. And we're going to convert again the element, but explicitly. If you remember, Ctrl+P, this goes to the element parameters window. It's a topic. We're going to convert it into a concept. And that's about it. And here you go. It also maintains the state. Because in fact, we're doing the same thing. Here is just hard-coded to a concept. The other one, I can choose concept, task, or item. It's basically the same. And I made it a child by mistake, sorry. Here we go. And, oh my god, it's not a capital letter. No worries. And if we go to the registry, itself, nothing, is always the same thing. No difference here. Okay. Just for consistency, I'm going to rename it with capital M. And you see that that doesn't affect the element. They are independent. Awesome. So far, 4 ways. There's still one more that is more or less in the same line that we'll see next. Let's continue creating concepts in SuperMemo. Let's see a 6th way to create a concept. So once again, I'm going to preemptively create a new element, and that will be memory 6. And now, on the main menu, edit, create concept. Create a concept. The hint says, create a new concept, for example, as a starting point for a new concept group. What this is going to do? Create a new element, and the element type will be concept, or whatever you have selected will become a concept. Let's see. It's asking me for a new name. So this already indicates it will be a brand new element. Memory 6B, because I'm not sure, right? And then, hey, here you go. It's exactly what I thought. This creates one from scratch. It doesn't change the element type. An observation is that it defaults to being dismissed. The same case as from the registry or Ctrl+K. Because if I do Ctrl+K, it's still memorized. So remember, concepts are only memorized if it's done with Ctrl+K or they are converted, which their state is already memorized, so it's kept. Any other way will be dismissed. There's one that we're not going to see in the Fluency track. That is from XML import. It will become dismissed. While you import, it will be telling you, hey, dismissing concept, or import. Nice. So I'm going to delete this because it's a duplicate. It's Ctrl+K. And just let me rename this one. And also in the registry. I put that on record so you can keep track of what I do. It's just a few seconds, so no worries. Nice. Always. I keep forgetting the checkboxes, oh my god. Nice. That's how you create a concept with the main menu. I don't know why there's a direct access, but yep, one other option. We have seen 4 ways to create concepts. There's still more. Let's see a 5th that we're going to still do the same. Oh, memory 5. Do you see, even though it's not the point of the video, that sometimes depends how you click or how you create the elements. It doesn't work exactly the same. It becomes a child, or is not in the same position, or is dismissed, or not. It has a title or not. So there's those tiny details here. Okay, memory 5. I'm going to do a subset. I know we haven't introduced this just yet. But I opened this on the browser. This is used for having operations in bulk. Instead of the element that is in the element window, a lot of elements at the same time. But I only do it itself for convenience. And I'm going to do the same thing. Type, make concept. So I don't know if it's the same thing in SuperMemo. It's just redundant. That you only do it in many at the same time in just one. But it doesn't say convert. It says make. Even though the hint says convert anyways. But you know how SuperMemo is, right? Okay. Are you sure? Yeah, yes. Awesome. So again, we have seen so far that the 3 ways to convert the concept. So we have seen so far that the 3 ways there are to convert an element into a concept, it preserves the state. It's the only one. That's why in some other video I say that from the 8, more or less 8 ways to create concepts, there's only one that is memorized. Here you go. And I consider those 3 the same. Are just from different places. But it's just converting the element type. But whoopsie-doopsie, what happened here? But there's a slight difference, because if I create a folder, the folder doesn't have anything, any component. If I start with a topic, memorized topic, then I will have an HTML component. This is a slight difference. Now that we know how to create concepts, in the Fluency track we have seen up to 6 ways to create concepts. There are at least 2 more. Now is, when should I care? When should I create a concept? I know how to do it. Now is why. So let's dig into this. There are a few options, a few cases you want that. For instance, when you encounter a big new idea, it's worth revisiting. Revisiting means iteration. So if you came across something that feels foundational, it feels deep, so depth means a lot of iteration required, or is cross-cutting, it's a big deal, then make it a concept. Can be locus of control, feedback loops, cognitive load, opportunity costs, or can be even more broad, like I start with AI or machine learning, and then you fine-tune. Perhaps could be the case that, hey, I don't know, right? It's too soon. You never know. You need to start. It's incremental reading. So you create the concept, and then from now on, I will import stuff on that concept. Could be the case that for whatever reason, after a while, some months or even years, then, oh, oopsie doopsie, I didn't import anything else. So I created the concept, I imported a bunch of topics in the same day, and that's about it. Yeah, sometimes this will happen. You don't know. It's the same, an analogy will be like a store, that they have all of the convenience stuff, vegetables, drinks, all of this. They buy what they think will be sold, but sometimes they're overstocked, that, hey, people are not buying this for whatever reason. Then you put it on a cheaper price, or it will expire, right? Then the food that expires will be the concepts that are no longer used, or were not used at all. This happened to me that, oh yeah, this feels foundational, but then, oops, it was a lot easier than I thought, and that's it, I'm done. Or it's not what I thought, this is super boring, please, I don't want this, and I delete everything. There are different outcomes. So that is one of the reasons to create a concept. Let's see one of the other reasons to create concepts in SuperMemo is when you know you will want to generate multiple flashcards from it. Even if it's very limited, in the sense that you know it won't scale in time, it's still worth it. Why? Because concepts can auto-apply templates. Therefore, since I don't know, let's say it's, I don't know, something very easy like shortcuts in a software. Oh yeah, I have a specific template for that. Then I will create a concept, shortcuts for SuperMemo, and I will do the closation, the extra closation, and then I will have the templates automatically set. So that's the reason for it. And I already know I will generate flashcards for that. So let me do preemptively. The only condition is that it has to be reached in extracts if it's for topic templates, which could be the case, or many closulations or Q&As, items, which could be the item template. And if you really stretch it, the task template as well. But that is obscure and will be taken still out of the Fluency track. You can organize all of those in the knowledge tree, yes, keep them contextually linked, and make it easier to revisit the source idea, on top of that of Autoapply templates. So that is a second reason to use concepts in SuperMemo. Let's see a third reason that is worth creating concepts in SuperMemo. And it's when the idea will evolve over time. You know, you identified already that this will evolve, this will change. Then you want to create a concept to watch your understanding grow, periodically reflect or rewrite, because this will require, it's like some generations, let's say, that now that you're a journeyman, let's say, you have some expertise, let's say coding, but then this will expire. How you phrase things, then you will say the proper algorithm and a lot more technical jargon that you cannot do now, right? Or you will do examples, metaphors, stuff like this. So if you know that this will require a lot of iterations, but grouped in generations, let's say, you can create a concept for that. Can be theories, mental models, values, principles, frameworks. It's something a lot more high level. And if you don't see the point, no worries. You will see these in examples on my projects, full-fledged projects of using SuperMemo for incremental reading. Because here a theory, it cannot be in the scope of one single video. This is awesome. And this can be even put together, and then you can split concepts, merge on concepts. It will be kind of dynamic. I mean, it sounds like a lot of effort, creating, joining, and so on, but this is in the scope of long term. I'm talking even years or 6 months, something like that. So it's not that, hey, I'm going to create a concept that in 2 weeks it's going to disappear. No, it will last some years, even if you merge. So easy to understand the reason, very hard to grasp it. Another one is when you want to integrate it across topics. If a concept shows up in multiple contexts, is a candidate. Like the bias theorem is, hey, I'm reading a lot of stuff in SuperMemo, and hey, this has appeared in decision theory, which is, let's say, where you expect to be, let's say. But then it's, hey, in AI, it's using this. Hey, even in medicine. So it is multidisciplinary, or it is relevant in different places. Another could be entropy. Even though it's more technical, it appears in different fields of science, right? So then, if you really care about it, then no, let me this become a concept itself. Because I will have stuff in physics, in information science, No. I want entropy to be itself, or bias theorem. If I do care enough, it will become a concept. How do you know that? Your brain will tell you, oh man, where do I have this? I'm not locating stuff, I need to search. Oh my god, too much friction. Create a concept. Why? Because in this case, you create a concept to unify your learning across all areas. So the only requirement above this is that you care. If you don't care, it will be split and scattered all over the place in your collection. No big deal as long as you don't care. There's no wrong and right. It depends a lot on your goals. Remember this. So that has been all for now. Now is when you want to teach or explain it someday. This perhaps is more niche, but it's guaranteed. Because the mental models, the how you learn, it's different. One thing is to know how to use it or understand what it is. Another skill set and requirement and knowledge requirement is to teach someone else what it is, or to make someone else to become aware of that. So they still do the process themselves, but I'm guiding that, right? More or less what I could do in the tutoring, because I provide tutoring with incremental reading, among other things. That is a different skill set. How many teachers you may have had, especially later in university, that they are very good at their research, but they are absolutely different story when it's about teaching. Yeah, because it requires a different skill set. So when you want to write about some articles, hey, I want to have a blog post, talk about this and that. Hey, that's a different thing than just writing to yourself. You really want to teach it. You all know, you are an English teacher, math teacher, or not just a teacher, you are a private tutor or whatever, or refers others to it. So for instance, someday I wanted to have the goal that, hey, I want to tweet about that. So even though I don't know exactly to whom I'm speaking with, because it's on the void at some degree, hey, how do I express things for people who have no idea what incremental reading is? It's not as easy as, just delete the jargon and nomenclature, the big words, especially if they are not in the dictionary. Okay, let me use some analogies, but analogies that doesn't require background knowledge, even though it's not as good as the other analogy and stuff like that. Then this becomes a concept because it's a different thing. I know already all of this stuff. What I want to know is how to express it. Could be storytelling. Storytelling would be the theory. It will become a concept, storytelling itself. But then is how to communicate this. Therefore, I can call it tutoring, SuperMemo tutoring, and that's it. But the SuperMemo tutoring concept is not the same as the SuperMemo concept. SuperMemo, which I have a few thousand of elements, is how this works, what this color means in this graph, what is this number, easy. But how you do make a person who never had to choose what to study? All of those skill sets, all of those soft skills. That's the concept of that. And again, you will see examples, full-fledged examples, on my future projects. Now you can create a concept when this concept represents a value or a guiding principle. Even though we have seen principle before, like this, an idea that will evolve over time, it's not the same. Because the idea helps guide you how you think or act and can treat you like a mental checkpoint. That is the key, the mental checkpoint. Anti-fragility, deliberate practice, leverage. These concepts can live forever in your system and grow with you. It's like they are super meta. So the content itself is not about content. It's not like in physics. It will be the first law of physics, creativity. No. It is a mental checkpoint for you. It's very personal, very abstract, very subjective, and dynamic. And if you remember, just a small insertion, one of the ways to express what is incremental reading is like a conversation to yourself in different stages, to your past self and to your future self, right? Those mental checkpoints is to make this discrete. I make this before and after that checkpoint. Like some people say, for instance, I have a friend who had a lot of romantic relationships. So when you ask something, what year we went to that place in vacation, let me think. First, he thinks with whom I was with. It was that person. That means it's from 2007, 2011. I have the range. Is using, even if it's unwillingly, is even not aware of that, is using those mental checkpoints. So I can do the same thing. That, this past self of me in the year 2010, when I tried SuperMemo, the May 2022, so I can have those mental points. And it's from a concept that is incremental reading or SuperMemo, because I want to go meta, I'm going into this. But then this can be applied to anything in sports or health. When I was following this diet because I had this belief and this other thing, You create those mental checkpoints. So you have this concept that represents this guiding principle that creates those mental checkpoints. This is the most abstract and harder to communicate use case to create concepts. But the most abstract you go, the more beautiful it is, let's say, in the long term. The most powerful it is in the long term. That you become like, it's a skill that I need the assistance of incremental reading. A software that schedules that and represents this to my future self. So I need some skill set, but I need the assistance. So no worries, I will try my best with a project called Health. I will be using SuperMemo for health purposes. For me, I think it will be the most challenging and also the most privacy revealing. So it's the one that I will think more than twice is, oh, I'm putting this on the internet, is a large sacrifice, the privacy. But it's because this is gold, believe me. I put some examples. I actually ask AI what is the most high yield, what people do the more, and what's this? Leverage by Naval, I think, Anti-Fragility. So those are best sellers, people who are huge following in Twitter and so on. But can be something super personal to you that can be as obscure as you want it. So let's continue with yet another reason why you should create a concept in SuperMemo. And it's when you want to link incremental reading excerpts to it. That's it. You want the flow. So concepts work as knowledge hubs. You can link multiple incremental reading extracts to a single concept. To what? Group ideas, track topic coverage, quickly find related materials. This is especially the case if you are mixing softwares that you don't just do incremental reading with SuperMemo. You also have Notion, RevNote, Second Brain, stuff like this. Then this could become a reason because, hey, I'm processing this on Kindle, so therefore I will have a concept that is, about the books that I read on Kindle that are, I don't know, fiction. I can have a concept, even if it's vocabulary, language level, but are from romantic novels, let's say. That there's some vocabulary that is overrepresented in that genre, or it's from crime and stuff like this. Since you do it externally, you create a knowledge hub that, okay, I want to see everything that I generated, if it was highlights from Kindle, in the same place. And I can fine tune it. It's not just Kindle, but it's the source. Can be about this genre, this thing, or you can niche down that I also read books about neuroscience, but not in SuperMemo. I will just get the imports, the highlights imported. Neuroscience from that I use, I don't know, a web app service, like, I don't know, Math Academy. That will be a reason for that. Because the content in Math Academy, you can have this split. Oh, this is algebra, this is calculus, this is ta-ta-ta. Or no, I want the knowledge tree to more or less represents from where it comes. Why? Because I want to track the topic coverage, or what is left in Khan Academy to go through, or quickly find related materials, other courses in the Khan Academy. So here you see a hint that it's just the purpose shapes the concept as well, not just the content itself. Here it is, yet another use case that is worth creating a concept that is just for auto-applying specific templates, and that's it. So you don't care to organize this into a knowledge tree at all, to have this structured, or in those dimensions you don't care. You only care about auto-applying the templates. This is especially true if you have a specific flow. That, hey, I will create a concept, anatomy IO, for image occlusion. So then, I only use the concept, so when I create topics, and then the topics will have images, as we will see, those will become image occlusion right away. I don't need to manually set the template, image occlusion, prepare this every time, and so on. At the end of the day, it is convenience. I actually have done that. Or for instance, do you see Spanish? I don't care. I use item and article, the default templates. But Korean, I don't. I have my own templates. Everything looks the same. The only thing that changes is the font. Here you go, one example. Let's continue with yet some other reasons to create concepts in SuperMemo. This one is niche, but could be still useful. And when you have a term, phrase, you keep looking up and forgetting. So you repeatedly look something up or keep relearning in a slightly different ways. That's a strong signal to make it a concept. Even though it's very tiny, so the group won't have a large number of elements, it's still useful. Because, hey, that's a whole, it's not a list, because lists will be just one item, one flashcard. It's like there's a hole in my knowledge that, man, it's recurring, right? For instance, something I detected is when I wanted to describe images for the image registry, something we'll see later on, is, hey, how you call this shoot? This one, it's a portrait, but if it's too far to the chest, this has a different name, and to the entire torso, hey, this has some vocabulary that I keep mixing, right? Or the pose of this is, oh, or sometimes it's more like vocabulary level, is how I phrase it. That, for instance, for me it was fashion, right? I'm now into fashion, and in English, because I guess there are different regions, there's a lot of redundancy and overlapping things without being synonyms. That I can't replace that word for the other one, and that's it. It depends on the context or what you mean. You have suit, garment, or dress, an outfit, attire, clothing. And sometimes it's, let me create a concept, all of this, and let me tackle this situation. And once it's tackled, then the concept will be there, but you are not going to import anything new. But it's good. If it's something that you're forgetting, or you have, it's even worse, you have a hole. Another silly example would be the Istan. I know there are, 8 countries, or I don't even know how many now. 7 countries that Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan. Then, I know Pakistan is the easiest, and in Spain we have immigrants from Pakistan, but Kyrgyzstan, name one person you know from Kyrgyzstan, a celebrity. No idea, right? So for me it's a lot harder to remember those names, because they don't hit the news, I don't see this represented or being in use, right? Then I will create a concept. Okay, let's go with the instant, and I will finish this off. If I do care. Why I didn't do this? Because I do not care about those countries. Sorry about that. I will prefer to do something else. Many things before that. If I lived thousands of years, perhaps I will reach a point that I will do it, according to priority, but not in my lifetime. Just to name an example. So we have seen some of the motivations, reasons you may have to create concepts. So this is more or less the checklist of the questions you can ask to yourself. Hey, this is, if I don't have the concept already in my registry, does this deserve a brand new concept? Regardless of how many concepts do you have. So ask yourself, any of those questions, if it's yes, if you only check one box, it's enough to create it. And the more boxes you check, the more emphasis is you should create that concept. Is this foundational or cross-cutting? Is extract several items from it? Will my understanding of it evolve? Will I teach it, write it about it, or reference it often? That this is more transformative than just knowing about it. Does it keep showing up in different contexts? So it itself becomes a concept, as long as I do care about it. Does it guide how I think, work, or decide? This is one of the most massive, high level, but massive reasons to create concepts. Or do I keep forgetting and learning it? Or do I have a knowledge hole to be more like umbrella? If you check any box, create a concept. It doesn't hurt. You don't pay tax on concepts. And it's unlikely you create hundreds or even thousands of concepts you're not going to use. Then you're super optimistic when you ask those questions. So easy. Then another question is, okay, now that I know how I create the reason is okay, this deserves a concept. How do I do it? Depends on you. You already have seen multiple ways to create concepts. we're going to see how we can delete concepts in SuperMemo. So what we are going to do is the same concepts we created during the course, we're going to delete them. There are just a few different ways we can do that. In the Fluency track, we are going to see 3 different ways to delete concepts. But first we need to define what you mean by concept. One thing is to delete the concept element from the collection, and another is to delete the concept registry member from the registry. Can you do just one? Not exactly. There's some nuance. So let's start with a very basic, most absurd way to delete the concept. That is, you select the concept, press delete, and that's it. Or right click and delete. This deletes the concept as an element. But now if I go to the concept registry, they are gone. Memory 4 and 5 are gone. Then there will be some consequences in case I have used that. So some elements had this concept set, and I will have some errors next time I run the collection repair. But this is out of the scope of this video for now. We're going to see those details in the repair collection. Most of those details in the mastery track, not here. Just to let you know that you can delete some stuff that has been used. There will be some issues, but after repairing, no big deal. No need to recover from a backup. So now we have seen the easiest way to delete the concept. That is just delete the straight away. Let's continue with another way that you can delete a concept in SuperMemo, other than deleting the element. So now I have the memory 4 concept. So the same as creating from the registry, I can do the same. I can delete it from the registry. Right click and delete. But look what it says. Do you want to delete this member? It doesn't say element, it says member. Yes, the number 4. Okay. Then it may seem like it's still a concept here, but it's not. SuperMemo doesn't refresh. So I will just change my collection. Do you see? Current concept is marked as deleted. And now choose new concept, 1 business and management. Why? There's a simple reason for that. Very easy. Look at my registry. Which one is at the first? So when you delete the concept that was the active concept, SuperMemo defaults to the first one, alphabetically. That's it. Nothing else than that. And then if we'll go back, now it's a folder. Remember, you need to update, to refresh. You can just change the collection, is one way to do it. You could close SuperMemo and I start over, and that's it. And actually speaking, I didn't even open the collection because it didn't exist anymore, the backup. But it's enough to refresh in SuperMemo. Then in this case, what we have done is we deleted the concept registry member, but we kept the element. And it's more or less the same thing as converting a concept into a topic, because now this is a topic. Let's continue deleting concepts in SuperMemo. Now we're going to do a very similar one that we hinted in the last video, and it's not deleting the concept, at least as an element, it's just doing the other way around. If you remember, some of the ways we created that concept was by changing the element type from topic to a concept. So now we're going in the opposite direction. It's a concept. Let's make it a topic. And voila. The difference is that SuperMemo updates right away, unlike when you delete the concept from the registry. And if we now go to the registry, the memory 3 is already gone. It's like cleaner version to do it. But wait, it's memorized because those two were memorized, right? What if it's dismissed? If we do the same, stays dismissed. So therefore, it becomes a folder. We're going to see the last option to delete the concept, even though it's, qualitatively speaking, it's the same as the third one. We're going to change to convert its type, but through the browser window instead. Why? Because here it says make topics. It doesn't say convert. So if we do it, here you go. But here I have one question. We had memory, one concept. Why it says 2 conversions done? Where's the second conversion? Turns out SuperMemo will always double the amount of conversions. Why? Because it's doing something else. It's not just converting the concept into a topic. It's also doing something in the registry member. That's why I guess it counts double. I think it's a bug, because 2 conversions done, if you say conversions, if you say element conversions, which is what you expect in this context, then it's duplicated. And now memory, it's again a folder and no longer present. Do you see? There's no memory. Strictly speaking, it's not the only type. We could convert to a task or an item instead of a topic. It's just no reason why you should convert concept to an item. It will make no sense, albeit possible, but it won't affect anything. The outcome will be the same. Then, why you should delete elements, why you should delete concepts, that's a different question. Now we have seen how we delete them. Straight away by changing its type through different forms, or deleting from the registry. We have seen how to create and delete concepts and why, in which situations you should create concepts. Now let's see which situations you want to delete concepts, to remove. The easiest, the most obvious, is when the concept has served its purpose. I'm no longer using this concept, it's been a few years. Then what I'm going to do? I'm going to convert the concept into a folder. So the only thing that is going to happen is that I won't have this concept in the concept registry, so therefore it doesn't appear as a candidate, because I'm not going to choose it anymore. There's the purpose. So what this can happen? When you have fully learned and internalized it, you no longer need repetition, doesn't generate new items, insights, or connections. So all I have in the concept group are folders and items. There's nothing I can process. It's done. I reached the finish line. In some cases, it's indefinite. Could be the case like this, that, in this particular case today, I'm done, but time to time, I keep importing stuff. Like could be, for instance, SuperMemo in my case, or incremental reading. That it's mostly done, but time to time, I import some stuff. So then I will keep it. Here you have some examples. This is very dummy, so it's still to make my point across. The high school algebra basics. You went a lot bigger, so you have other concepts. This is a good example that you have algebra, but this was concept itself, because it was justified, because it's this selection of knowledge that is artificial and could be the case with a deadline. You created that concept, but now you graduated. If it's not high school, it can be higher levels of education until PhD, no worries. It's the same thing. Now that I'm done, I don't need this concept, and I will merge. I will not delete it. I will merge it into algebra, let's say. So then this concept is no longer to be used. It's empty, and I delete it. That doesn't mean I delete the concept group. All of the hierarchy down is kept. I just make it a folder, or I just merge it to something else, another group. I'm not deleting content. I'm only deleting the concept registry member, or the element, in case I also merge. So this is one example that, because of the nature of the creation, the motivation to create that concept, it's time bound. Therefore, it's been used. the purpose no longer stands. It's not that, hey, you created the mistake creating the concept to begin with. No, it was the best decision. It was useful. It's just time-bound because you have a time-bound requirement. As easy as that. Let's see another reason you can delete a concept in SuperMemo. Here's one, let's say, silly example that, of course, if you create it too prematurely or impulsively. Oh yeah, I was curious about, I was super excited, could be the case. Oh yeah, let's say that I am into biology. The cell membrane, is, oh yeah, look at these semi-permeable membranes in frogs, wow, I want to dig into this, but it stays there. Next day, yeah, I created the concept, but I'm not adding anything. So then it doesn't justify just for that to have that concept. Now, if you remember the boxes, it doesn't check any box. Then it's okay, my adjustment was not right, I just undo. That's it. It's a mistake, yes, but this mistake is part of the process because you don't know, you don't have enough information to make an informed decision. Therefore, you do the best you can do, and later on, it's an overkill, not required, and you delete it. I deleted many concepts in the hundreds across 5 years. And that doesn't resonate with you. The examples could be, I don't know, for instance, something more genuine. Hope you can relate more. Is prompt engineering. Yeah, when AI was a thing with ChatGPT, yeah, do this prompt with this template, this sequence, you get the, ask for how you want the answer, the format, but now it's a lot more lenient, more high level. I don't need to rely on techniques and stuff like that in prompt engineering. So therefore, I had the concept prompt engineering, then now I delete it because now it's not required. I don't need it. And what I had, it was super small. So one of two flash, not one of two, but very small. So it was impulsive at some degree. I projected a lot that then it didn't materialize. Therefore, I delete the concept. Let's continue with yet another reason to delete concepts in SuperMemo. When it is the case that you have a duplicate or overlapping with another concept. That sometimes is, the overlap is too much that, yeah, let's just merge it. Then since you merge the concept groups, one will become deleted because it will become empty. Usually this is later in time. You create a concept, perhaps you even forget about this concept, and you later create another concept with a different name, and especially if it's how it's spelled, it differs quite a lot in the alphabet, so when they are sorted alphabetically, they are not next to each other or rather close, so you will need to scroll quite a lot to see the other one. Is oopsie doopsie. I had the same, basically the same concept. For instance, I had a space repetition for language. Because space repetition was so huge, I wanted to niche down, right? Yeah, how you use space repetition for language, how you create the flashcards, And then I had language learning with space repetition. It's the same thing. But I needed some iterations to realize that I duplicated a concept. It was redundant. Sometimes, let's say that I have just space repetition and a space repetition for language. Then one is a subset of the other. Then could be the case that, hey, I'm done with it. There's nothing I will import anymore. Therefore, I will just merge it. It was really good for 2 years, really necessary, but now I'm done. I just do repeat the same thing. There's nothing new I could do. I just merge it. Easy. Remember, when it's basically the same or it's overlapping, we could say one is a subset of the other. The example I have here, it's mental models, thinking tools, and then first principle thinking and first principles. Yeah, pick one location, move content, delete the extra. Usually you will pick the smallest, will go and be merged to the largest. Usually. That also means the newest, most recent, will become merged to the oldest. Usually. Doesn't have to be. Nice. There are no examples for now, real examples, but you will see that in my full-fledged projects. I was using incremental reading with SuperMemo. Let's continue with deleting concepts in SuperMemo, well, in incremental reading. Another reason is when you no longer care about the topic. Because you change your interests, change careers, your values changed. For instance, I had a lot of exercise physiology because I was researching on that. I did part of the degree, a master degree, even kind of a second master degree. It was more in the biomedicine, but it was leading there. And I was doing the PhD. So I had a lot of material, a lot of knowledge in that specific area. Not anymore, because I moved on. I'm not going to research about that. I don't own a lab, a super expensive lab, right? I cannot do it on my own. Therefore, this concept no longer exists, because I moved on. As easy as that. My career has changed, but also my values. Then the interest could be the case that sometimes is I moved on. I also did computer science, stuff like this. I did the mistake to study different stuff in the formal education, but I do keep it. Why? Because it's still interesting for me. I don't need it for my career, for my job, but yeah, it stays there. So perhaps I'm not going to continue to deepen the knowledge, but I do keep what I have already. So therefore, I will still delete the concept, and it will be a folder. So let's say that you have stock market technical analysis, but you have moved away from trading. So perhaps you want to keep what you have, if it's not that much effort, but you're not going to dig further. Therefore, you no longer care about the topic, and that leads to the same thing. The concept has served its purpose, not because it has a dead end, it's because you no longer care. So served in a subjective way would be the case of serve its purpose. So again, it's not right and wrong that, hey, I should not have created this concept. Yes, you did. It's just now you have changed. And you use SuperMemo as a tool to adapt to those changes. So this means creating and deleting. Let's cover yet another reason to delete concepts. Is when you create a concept that was temporary. It was a temporary bucket. So basically the same reason to create the concept, also the same reason to delete it. So sometimes you create concepts as placeholders, like to process, to do, but to do more specifically. For instance, notes from a conference. For instance, what I do. Do you see SuperMemo course? This is a concept in my collection, because I use my own collection to use SuperMemo to go meta, to explain how SuperMemo works, right? Then eventually I will create flashcards out of all of this, which are already more than 4,000 elements, oh my god. And I'm not even half done for the Fluency track. Once I'm done, because I want to interleave this and so on, I will detach that. I will put it on a different collection, not mine. But let's say I want to keep it. It won't be a concept anymore, because I'm done. It's something temporary while I'm doing the course. Eventually, I have more than 1,000 videos recorded to date, but eventually I will finish, even if there are 3,000, and if there's nothing else I can do, it serves its purpose. So this can be deleted. Remember, deleting the concept doesn't mean deleting the element. It can be converting it to a topic, a folder, and just removing it from the registry. Because yeah, I'm not going to do anything more with the course. I don't need to create more sections, videos. I'm not going to use the hooks, the Autoapply templates. It's just noise. From now on, it's noise in my registry. So anything that is like this, temporary, you can delete it. In this case, it's a good example because it's temporary. Even if it's across years, It has been more than a year, by the way, even if it doesn't feel like that to you. For me, I have been working on that for a lot of time, but it's still temporary. There's a deadline. Those are those chapters, and you're done. There's not that deadline in time, has to be that day, but there's a dead end with content. So when you're done, the life expectancy, it's done. You just remove it from your collection. No hard feelings. Let's see another reason in SuperMemo to delete concepts. Similar to the one we have seen, that it holds 1 or 2 flashcards, like just a few, less than 10, let's say. But it's because the concept become too narrow and can be simplified. I did this with psychology. I had psychology, then social psychology. Neuropsychology. I started like this, and I had like 15 concepts with psychology. But then then it's developmental psychology. Now only for children. But then I realized, okay, I'm classifying as if it was knowledge management, not a learning app. And later I realized it's an overkill. It's not that it was wrong. It's that according to the material I was going through, was mostly one big source and some Wikipedia pages, I narrowed down too much. To the point that this concept or this other concept within the psychology didn't make any difference. It was using the same templates, priorities, more or less the same. So it was just this error that you don't have to specify if it's like if it was personal knowledge management. Then, what you can do? Extract them to a more general concept and delete the standalone node. It's a node because it's no longer a concept. It can be a folder. But if the folder is empty, contains nothing, it's not a folder. It will be an empty folder, right? But it's an empty folder, usually, you call like that, because you have the prospection that in the future it will be filled. But here is the opposite. It's not going to be filled. So an empty folder that it will still be empty in the future is not a folder. It's a node. Just to be precise with the terminology. So solution, more or less the same. Deleting straight away or merging. And merging always means deleting one of the sides. And again, there's no way you can know. So of course, one of the hints you can take is the children. If you overcome the limit of children, let's say 500, I'm importing a lot of stuff in this concept group, right? So perhaps you want to start chunking that down, to narrow down. But wait for this. If you do it preemptively, could be the case that you become too narrow too soon, and then what you thought you will do, you don't. Not because you don't want to, necessarily. It's because it's waiting forever in the outstanding queue, waiting for you. But you have an overloaded collection, so that will wait for you in the next 2 decades. Yeah, the same as nothing. Equivalent to never. Here you go, yet another reason to delete concepts. Could be the case that you realize that the concept group is a collection of trivia or something that is not worth remembering. So it's not that you will delete the concept registry member, or just the element. The element and everything with it, all of the concept group, basically. That, I learned all of the capitals in the countries from the world. Yeah, for what purpose? Yeah, just because of it. So I can say I know the capitals of all of the countries, even though I don't know how to pronounce half of them. Because they use a language you don't know. And even if you speak, let's say, 3 languages, there will be sounds that are not in your domain, not in your brain. So you get the point already, right? This happened to me. Let's say that you do, this is like a meme. It's like so you can laugh at this video almost. Pop culture, Kanye West discography. I'm not listening to him anymore. And it's been a long while. So unless you're studying music seriously, It's not worth your long-term review. Yeah, the expense that, oh yeah, I like this song. What was the name of the track? Oh shit, I will Google that. And that's it, right? So imagine, I know, who won the Nobel Prize this year. All of this, it's trivia. It's meaningless. What is What is the largest river? The highest mountain? All of this random trivia. So when you realize that, let me delete this. I don't want to consume my time with this knowledge that I will never apply in my life, and do the real stuff. Something that you care, something that will be useful and applicable in your life instead. So if you have this within a concept, it's easier to delete. Let's see the very last reason to delete the concept. Could be the case that you created a concept preemptively, and that's about it. It's empty. The concept group is nowhere to be found. It's just itself. You thought you will explore this further. Like, yeah, I will do it, but once I do this and do that, even if it's the next year, whatever, that doesn't come, never happens. That means you don't have any extract. Perhaps you imported something and you set the concept to that topic, and that's about it. Zero extracts, zero cards, items, just taking up space. For instance, if I go to my registry, well, I think in this backup, I think I can do it like this. Pesticides. Oh yeah, I thought I will dig into this, right? But later on, I decided that, yeah, could be inside food or in health. I don't do enough to justify creating the concept or maintaining the concept, because it's just which pesticide I should not eat. So if I see this one and this other one are being used in the label, I'm not going to buy it. That's about it. If my job was about pesticides, as a commercial that I sell, I buy and resell, or that I use myself, it will be a different story. It's not my case. Therefore, it's a dead end. There's nothing I can do with it. Then, sayonara, as easy as that. This can be for any reason. You thought it will be necessary, it become unnecessary. It is redundant, overlapping, redundant, obsolete. Could be the case that it's time bound and it's already obsolete. Oh yeah, a project I want to do when I was going to that country on vacation. Well, I went there already. So, and I'm not going to go back there, so I cannot do that anymore. Stuff like that. Or something that, yeah, I wanted to have a project with my friend, Yeah, but he passed away. I cannot do it anymore. But I didn't start it yet. That's why it's already, from the beginning, a dead end. No pun intended, but yeah, in the literal sense as well. So all of the cases is, yep, it's just waiting, it's just a candidate. And imagine that I had more than 200 concepts, which I did, but I'm not only using 40. And 200 of them are just there. Imagine the analogy is, which happens in my city, not in the neighborhood I live, but nearby. There are parking lots with a lot of cars that are abandoned. But they don't pick those up. So every time you see more and more cars taking a space, then you are late at night and shoot, I cannot park the car. They are non-empty because you park on the street usually here. They are just waste. That's why you want to remove the concepts, because they are just waste. They are no longer useful, and you know in the future they are not going to do. And for whatever reason, this changed. That, after a decade, I'm into frogs once again, or into exercise physiology, then I will just start over the concept. That's it. No big deal. Now we'll see the effects in SuperMemo when you delete a concept with still elements that use this concept registry member. Let's say I have SuperMemo, and I can guarantee everything has SuperMemo on it because we have applied this in this section of the course. Okay. I don't care about the template, only the concept. Now, everything here has SuperMemo set. It's not just that it's in the hierarchy. Remember that the concept group, it's assuming the behavior of the user, that everything will be inside it. It will have the concept. Was not the case. Okay. So now what I do? I go to search concept, the concept registry. I go to SuperMemo, and you know what? I'm already done. I import everything I could in SuperMemo, so this can become a folder. I'm not going to import anything else, right? So I just delete it. Okay. But what happened? Is it still there? It will be displayed as topic once I restart SuperMemo. If I go here, it already tells me it's a topic, but the user interface, now I have forced an update, or I will have quit SuperMemo and I start again to force that without interacting. But then if I go, hey, no template, but where on earth is the place? There's a missing entry here. In this tab of the element data window, if I go to something else, do you see the new group? If I go here, hey, why it's not even shown? Mysterious. And if I go here, it says deleted concept. And it was the position 165 in the registry. Sometimes it will tell you deleted concept here, and sometimes it is just omitted. I don't know why. So I don't know what exactly happens when it's hidden and when it's not. It feels arbitrary. Do you see it's still hidden? But if we go to the element parameter window dialog, we will see. Because then it had an option that is no longer on the drop-down menu, because I cannot write whatever I want. I have to select an option in the drop-down menu, right? This will be fixed next time you run repair collection with the rebuild registries, which will include the concept registry. Is programmatic? Well, once you run this, no. But hey, wait a second, we're simplifying here because it's the Fluency track. We are only having concepts that can be set, but hey, they can also be linked. Just to let you know that if you have linked concepts, this link will be lost. And again, it will be solved by running collection. You'll have a warning, stuff like this. I will still keep some order. If you want to delete a concept, if it's because you merged them, make sure that is not used. And in SuperMemo, there's no way that I can tell SuperMemo, hey, show me the elements of this concept group, of this concept. No, it's assuming that it will be on the concept group. It's hierarchy down, which is unlikely to be the case. Therefore, you cannot do that. That means that it's likely that when you delete the concept, you will have some elements that you have moved 2 years ago or whenever in the past that had that concept set. It's as easy as when you see the report on the repair collection, they will check that, and I will apply that other concept. As easy as that. We'll see these details in repairing collection. I think it's the second last section of the course. Those are very diminishing returns, so no worries. At the end of the day, you're not losing information. And one final detail is how you can know you have concepts. You have elements. Not without the concept, it will be in a group, but with it deleted. When in this element window data, the raw is not present. This is temporary until you do the run repair collection. It's one, I think, unintended hint. There's a practice, it's very common and very convenient, that to have a default concept, usually the to-do concept. Why? Because, hey, I want to import this article now, and let's simulate I'm importing that. And yeah, which concept do I choose? I don't know, right? So at least I have a default concept to do that I will decide later. So at least I have a container to choose from. So that's something you can do. I have done this. Now I still do it, but it's not explicit. It's my root element, Pleasurable learning, and I use a different hook, which is the year. This is when I do the anti-fragile. Where do I put that? Or sodium, halo rate. I don't have a concept for that. It doesn't relate to health that directly, right? I don't know. I put it here. So what you can do is you can create a new concept. Can start with a folder, to do, now Ctrl+K, and now it's a concept. So it's whatever else, the miscellaneous things I don't know, it will be the to do. This will be accumulating here, like 2025. And when I see that, Jones Paradox, I start reading for the first time. Oh, it's about software development, or it's about this, it's about that, or it's about cognitive science, or whatever. Now I know I have enough information, and now I will reuse one of my concepts. For instance, this, the deleted the second brain after so many years and effort. Yeah, I have note taking, but is this the right concept? Therefore I leave it there, and once I see why and so on, to get the scope, oh yeah, now let me put it on personal knowledge management, or at least tools for thought, which I have, it's here. So now I do apply, that's my to-do, and I will apply my tools for thought, and now it's in the concept group of the tools for thought. Very convenient, especially at the beginning, that you start with no concepts. And is this worth it, and so on, which we will see in this section. That's it to do. Super convenient to have this practice. We're going to see how you can merge concepts in SuperMemo. There's no feature as such to merge, it's just qualitative for us. So let's say that I have incremental reading and SuperMemo. And you know what? I want to merge them. It's too much interleaved. I talk about incremental reading in SuperMemo and vice versa. So what I'm going to do is to change all of the elements in the concept group in one, let's say all of this, to SuperMemo. In this case, it's a lot easier to do it like this, because here it's just 4 than in SuperMemo. I have a lot more, right? Okay. So then I open all of the concept group, but itself, so I click here, check the box, and now filter everything with unselected. So I take out the concept. And now process the browser, set concept group as we have seen, and I choose SuperMemo. Here we go. So now everything here is in SuperMemo, but this is still in the same place. So now I'm going to select those and just drag and drop inside SuperMemo. And in incremental reading, if I want, I can delete it, archive it, and so on. We're going to see in SuperMemo how you can apply a concept in bulk, in many elements at once. So you know that here, anti-moon, it's just a folder. Is, you know what, I want to set a concept here, but I don't want to do it one by one. And if I do set now the concept here, and I use, I don't know, the SuperMemo, I'm only applying it on this very same element, the folder. All of the children is still something else. So what I can do is open this on the browser, process the browser, the second button, and then set concept group. And now I select the one I want, in this case is SuperMemo, and as easy as that. It's super quick. Even if you do thousands, tens of thousands, it will be just a few seconds. And now I can guarantee that all of hierarchy down has the same concept. This is useful when you have been using a folder without concepts, or you merge a concept or stuff like this. The difference, if you noticed, is that the hook is not used. You set the concept, but they stay on the same place. That's why you can first move them where you want and apply the concept, or apply the concept and then move them. Depends on your preference. Super quick and easy to do. So now I will do the same with SuperMemo to guarantee everything is has the concept set. Do you see? That means I have done something else. I moved something that didn't have the SuperMemo concept. 16,000. But you only apply the concept when it's different. That's why it was not 2,000, even though I have more than 2,000 elements. And remember that this has no undo. And usually you will apply the concept for the concept group. But this allows you to do whatever. I could have SuperMemo and applied science or health. You have a lot of power. Is this useful? I don't know. It will be a very outlier case that this may be useful, but I suggest to always use it for this purpose, for the same concept group. It's article video, but it's not asking me for that. Because again, depends how you create, and each scenario, SuperMemo is not that consistent. But now if I go back to the one I created that had the picture, now what I'm going to do is changing the group. You see it says no group. So I change it to something else, like course, once again. Now I change it back to the new course, a new group. Do you see? As soon as I selected the new group, the template has shifted already. Let me cancel. The template is article picture, and the concept is course. So even if I don't confirm, I just select it from the list, new group, already changes the pre-selection here. And now he's asking me, when I click OK, is hey, do you want to apply this video article video? Why? Because this change was not done by me. Even though it appears on the screen, is as if I did myself, was not. So that's the difference. Then I can say no or yes. This is useful when most of the time you want a template, but you have some outlier cases. Let's say that I also use it for, for folders, and I don't want to apply a template in a folder, right? Just one case. So that's how you know you want to always apply it, never apply it, or prompt to apply it. And you have this individually for topics and for items. There are no tasks here. The task template will be applied, always applied. And then similar templates. This requires text, meaning this requires convention. What means? That means that in the template registry, if I have article and I paste a picture for my clipboard, let's say, SuperMemo will prompt me, hey, do you want to apply the article picture? Item picture means that I need to add space picture with capital P or sound. If I don't do this, SuperMemo will not know that is the equivalent but with the picture. We will have a dedicated video for that in the mastery track of the course. But just to let you know that if this behavior doesn't work for you, It's likely because you change the titles or you create your own templates which doesn't use that. Anyhow, I don't suggest that. That's personal opinion now, because if you use your convention, there's no need to switch, because now you can afford to have an empty image. That, oh yeah, I have a lot of tasks, I have a lot of templates, items with no images. Yeah, but I won't have the text to the end anyways because of the cat movement, right? So it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't hurt to have it there, empty 99% of the screen. 99% of the time. So now you know how now concepts are making more sense. That, hey, now I see some value of using concepts. That's all for now. See you incrementally.